You spend weeks building the perfect encounter, mapping the castle and placing the villain. And then, in 10 seconds, your players bypass the entire dungeon and execute your main non-player character. You have nothing prepared for what happens next. The common advice for this situation is either to wing it and rely on raw improvisation, or to force the players back onto your pre-written path. Both options usually lead to a flat, tedious session. That is where the disruption response protocol comes in. It is a specific procedure from the Whitman Method designed to handle table-breaking chaos without requiring you to be an improv genius. Looking at this protocol, we will build 3 reliable tools by the end of this video. You will learn to reset your world's timeline, generate a rapid, irrational response from your villain, and lock any resulting combat into a strict 3-round constraint. The game masters who look like naturals when things go sideways are not relying on talent. They rely on a system. This protocol gives you the architecture to take a hit, reset, and keep the world moving forward. This chart represents the main timeline, the logical sequence your villain planned to execute. Step A leads to Step B, leading to Step C. But when players do something wildly unexpected, they shatter a critical node. Step B is gone. Your first job is to test the break. Can the villain bypass the damage and reach Step C? Usually, no. If they cannot restore the timeline, permanently abandon the original plan. Everything past the break ceases to exist. Resist the urge to artificially drag your players back toward those dissolved nodes just because you spent hours preparing them. Holding on to dead preparation creates immediate friction at the table. Here on the checklist, diagnosing the death of the timeline means we have successfully completed the first step of the protocol. Dropping the broken plan entirely guarantees that your players' disruptive choices have actual weight in your game. You are creating a world that responds, rather than a script that dictates. Now that the logical plan is dead, the villain needs a new motive. When careful planning fails, villains fall back on their core obsession, or their sin. A sin reaction operates like psychological physics. Whether driven by greed, pride, or wrath, this sin dictates their next move with absolute certainty. Notice the contrast on screen. The left side shows a destroyed, methodical approach. The right side replaces it with an immediate, impulsive reaction fueled by wrath. Acting on emotion instead of strategy, they do something hyper-aggressive, like burning the tavern the players are sleeping in. You must take this new, irrational action and translate it into a direct, immediate danger for the players. The threat needs to materialize quickly. This circular tracker is a clock, which you use to measure escalating danger. When the villain acts on their sin, you fill in a slice, bringing the consequence one step closer to reality. Never hide this reaction behind the Game Master screen. Force the players to visibly witness the change in the world, like smelling smoke outside their inn window. Returning to the checklist, we check off Apply Sin and Advance Visible Clock. The villain's new motive and the world's direct response are now locked in. By replacing a shattered plan with a compulsive, highly visible consequence, the game world feels dangerously alive. It proves to the players that the environment reacts to them instantly. This escalating danger guarantees a collision. The players will inevitably confront the villain's irrational threat, forcing a combat scenario. A common trap is letting these reactionary encounters turn into a tedious mathematical slog, where enemies fight blindly until they reach 0 hit points. To prevent that, look at this 3-round constraint tracker. This rule forces you to pace the collision tightly, resolving the main conflict within 3 highly active rounds. If the fight continues, you have a hard limit. At round 5, the environment or the situation must shift completely to end standard combat. No exceptions. This shift could be the burning tavern roof finally collapsing, the surviving enemies fleeing, or overwhelming town guard reinforcements arriving to arrest everyone. Checking off the final box locks our combat pacing in place, completing the preparation phase of the disruption response protocol. Enforcing a strict time limit strips away the dead air. It converts a standard dice-rolling exercise into a high-stakes sequence that aggressively drives your story forward. 30 seconds ago, your players ruined the session and left you staring at a broken campaign. Now you have a clear, actionable plan to respond. As you can see in this setup, the chaos was successfully channeled into a structured response. The timeline is reset, The sin is dictating the action, and the combat tracker is ready. Great game mastering relies on applying reliable architecture to unpredictable moments, not pure improvisation. The system is ready. Grab your dice, let your players break the world, and use the pieces to run your best session yet.